mental here. It was made up in my head. It's made up. Yeah. And I have so much faith in the head, I just took it to be true. And I do anything to get some relief from that fear of the here. Yeah. And I did. Yeah. And then suddenly I had consequences in the here that was like piling on. It got worse. My solutions made everything worse. And now I see when people share sometimes, their head is occupied by next week or 5 weeks from now or 10 years ago. It's just incredible to the point where their experience of the day is overridden by that interpretation in time. That to me is slavery. Yeah, so yeah, please relieve me of the bondage of self, or you can say the slavery of self. Yeah. Please relieve me of that so I can actually respond to how about Thursday? Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like a superpower. You don't have to read a Marvel comic to entertain. Wow, he's here now. That's incredible. There's no one like him in the whole world. No, we're all here now. Just have to have the eyes to recognize it. Yeah, so maybe your eyes can't recognize it, so you put on the glasses of recovery, like Chuck C said, a new pair of glasses, so that you can see things differently. And after the glasses have done their job, you can take them off, and now your eyes have been readjusted. You have a new attitude and new outlook in life, and now you see blue is blue and red is red. There's a clarity, at least about the basics of life living. I don't know about your job or your relationships or your family of origin. Yeah, there may be a lot of knots and all that, but at least the basis is I'm here now. Yeah. And also, I have an attitude of being in good hands because I've seen tons of miracles in my own life and others. And it would be insane if I kept denying it, yeah, that this thing works. So I feel pretty chilled out because I feel like I'm in good hands. I can't describe the weight of those hands, but I can describe how it feels to be held by those hands, yeah. And there's an assurance that doesn't need evidence, though it garners tons of evidence, but it doesn't need evidence. You can just be chilled out, okay, yeah. So I mean, this is how I feel you tell the solution is from the relief from the problem, really. And if the problem doesn't not, the problem can basically arrive at not existing for you anymore. That's incredible. That is incredible. For active alcoholism to end up that way is incredible. It's probably, there's not too many things I call solutions in this world. I would say that's one. Yeah, to have the sense that the problem does not exist for you based on really seeing that the problem doesn't exist as you. I don't think anything could deliver that well. Yeah, if it said, okay, the problem will not even exist for you today if you follow this stuff. What? Yeah, you can't imagine that because you've been existing as the problem for so long. Yeah. So now, wow, Thanksgiving, like today, I give thanks to that for sure. Yeah. So thanks, everyone. And this is just an invitation. If you read it differently and you want to think that it, that aspect of you call ego, and you have one and you lose one and it's a little unruly and stuff like that, that's fine if that's how you see it. But what is it that thinks it has an ego, and what is it that says it loses an ego? To me, that's the real sense of self. Yeah, and I think self is different than ego. I do. Yeah. With the terminology that I understand ego represents, I feel a sense of self is different because a sense of self is had by the idea that you have an ego or you can lose an ego. What is that? What is that ambiguous someone before the ego that has it? I feel that's more the problem there. I do. So, yeah. So If you get to, and we call it self in AA, yeah, and we call us in AA, and it talks very clearly the difference between self and us, and we're in the us camp, and then the problem is self. That's what basically, and we can't see it because we're taking ourselves to be it. So we get to see it by its manifestation. So we do an inventory on our fears, and hopefully you realize it's fear generated by a vision from self. Yeah, it's really anxiety. It's not fear. It's mental anxiety. So now, all right, hey, that's pretty clear. So I find I travel a lot differently with fear than my fear, completely. It's almost a completely different beast. Yeah. So, all right, well, with the my is this idea of owning a lot of shit I don't own. Where does that come from? How did I come up with that? You didn't. Something has come up with that in you and has sort of foisted it on us. And now we've been taking it against our own experience. No one's going to tell me they felt like they were in control when they were under the influence. I just don't see it. I just do not see that volition was one of the the hallmarks of my living out there. I was basically taken over. I was used for transportation and expression. I was. And I looked just like everyone else that did what I did. Yeah, I could recognize a coke addict from across the club, and they could recognize a coke addict from across the club. Because it wasn't Paul and Jim, it was something else that recognized itself. Yeah. Yeah, one aspect of the parasite waved to the other one. Let's really get fucked up. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's really get fucked up. Two of us, like the old Jesus thing, if two of us get together, shit happens. Yeah, two parasites get together, shit fucking happens. So, I just, the freedom to laugh about it is one of the many effects of relief. Yeah, the freedom to laugh about things that were really horrendous, like getting run over by a car twice wasn't that much fun. I don't even remember it. But now that it's seemingly a fact, you better laugh about it, really. I mean, seriously, it's sort of funny that, I could see you getting run over once, but twice seemed to be a little bit too much. Yeah. I thought something overdid it once again. And I see the parasitical nature seems to attract heavy consequences for some of us. Yeah, you couldn't have dreamed it happened the way it happened. It would just be some weird shit and you'd be in jail. You're just fucking, how did that happen? Because there was you put out an energy that other things picked up and were on you. Yeah. That energy is directed differently now. Yeah. Yeah. It's the same energy, but it's attracting completely different shit. And it's being directed completely different. It was like a lighthouse that was beckoning all the other ships to run into the rocks. Now the lighthouse is clearing the way so they can get to the harbor. It's a lighthouse. The light was there, but whoever was using it wasn't for saving any boats, Yeah. So thanks.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, in your talk a couple weeks ago, you used a great analogy of the sirens, and I think it was Ulysses, and it was a great analogy because, and this is what I get about like the way you articulate the message is you give great metaphors and examples, different examples to point to something. I thought the sirens were me for so many years. I thought that voice was mine. And I listened to it all the time. I just thought that, and that's kind of why I read this part. It said, and it says in actual practice, we find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Appraisal of self, not me. I couldn't see, that's why it's so important that, I think what you do and the meeting you have, you keep it so focused on being convinced itself manifests in various ways what defeated us, which really gave clarity to the way I understood when we became alcoholics, crushed by this self-imposed crisis, this imposition of self, not something I caused.
Yeah.
The reference point changed completely, which changed everything completely.
Yes. Just like the idea of 100 being driven by 100 forms of fear. So, yeah. So obviously, you're not the 100 forms of fear. Yeah. You're being driven by fear. Yeah. There's a distinction between us and fear. It's the idea of I'm fearful isn't a true clarity. It's not. You're not fearful. There's fearful appearing as I, basically. That's what's going on. You've been taken over. And yet the stubbornness of the identity of it's me isn't going to bend much by contrary evidence. It just keeps yapping the same way. And if you fall for it, it'll just keep adding on, So yeah. So somehow I woke up and I'm the doer of all that shit I did where I can't even remember. I blacked out for 15 hours, but bring on more guilt and shame. I must have done some shitty shit and let me feel worse than I ever felt. It's just insane. I mean, so it's obviously not gonna, the system itself isn't going to tell on itself. It's just going to keep on keeping on. And so you can't rely on that, and you can't get an answer from that. The answer has to come from somewhere else, like Einstein says, and a lot of other people have said, what's producing the problem, you can't seek a solution from. You have to see it as something other than you, in a way. And then the answer will come from something other than you, about you. Yeah. So you knowing you doesn't go too far, but the spirit knowing a you is clear. Yeah. So, and who's there to say that we're not seeing from spirit at every second of the day? And then that seeing gets claimed and turned into an interpretation, which is based on self. But I would actually feel the initial seeing is not of self. Self doesn't see shit. It's us, that's spirit. You want to call it awareness or consciousness. But it's not of self. It's not of a thing. And it's what's bringing it. It's the light bearer in our life, allowing us to have contact with all these experiences. The head that says it's the experiencer hasn't experienced anything, really. It's just a story of being the experiencer. And then we get stuck with that. Fuck. We try to get out of the experiencer with experiences and it doesn't work, obviously. And so on and so forth. And hopefully we finally get to the point of admitting our defeat. Yeah, because we've used the system to try to get out of the system. It hasn't worked. So, and I think many of us have used it in a various amount of ways to an extreme level, and it's shown not to work. So, I mean, hopefully we're exhausted by it and you realize, hey, perhaps there's a better way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trusting the infinite. Now, how do I get there? Because the way I usually start is trusting myself about trusting the infinite. Yeah. And therefore that's only more trusting myself. So I got to sort of do something different, which is this way of life. And then, the loss of interest isn't me trying to lose interest. It's a loss of interest, which is observed, not caused by me. I observe it. Wow, I've lost interest in myself and I'm seemingly more interested in contributing to others. Wow. I don't set out on a course to do that. I realize I'm on that course. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like a great master said, it's too late. By then, your head is in the tiger's mouth. So you're already in the process of recovery. And the head's got caught and it's like fucking trying to take over again. But it's on the losing side, thank God. Yeah. You're actually losing interest in that. Yeah, it's great, man. And it's nothing like, obviously, with self being the one claiming to see everything, it's going to really drag its feet seeing that. It doesn't like to see it's losing control. And so basically, you'll be the last to know. Like it says in our book, the newcomer you'll see the effects of the newcomer in the newcomer before the newcomer does, because the newcomer isn't getting any clear information from K-self. Yeah. So we see it and we go, wow, you're really changing. And the person, what? I feel just exactly the same. You don't feel exactly the same. Something's telling you you're feeling exactly the same. That's what's happening. Yeah. And now you're going to start feeling better, and it's going to override the narrative that you're feeling the same sooner or later, because there'll be a loss of interest in the narrative. Yeah. So now, fuck, you're not only sober, you can enjoy being sober. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the relief is, like, I always love the word being convinced, because it means a present tense condition. So being sober really is a present tense condition. Yeah, I'm sober. No, but being sober is a present tense condition. Yeah, you're being sober. There's something to that. And it has the ability to override the addiction to the narrative. Yeah. So you start feeling like what you're feeling like at the moment you're feeling it. Which is fucking amazing, because most people need something to tell them what they were like the whole day, because they don't know. You're out to lunch and then you go home and the head tells you, oh, you had a terrible day today. You don't know any better. Okay, I had a terrible day today. Give me the reasons why. Okay, Jim, Bill, your girlfriend. Oh, all motherfuckers. They're blocking me from my agenda. They're all made up completely. But if you have no touchstone, it'll give you touchstones. It'll just make up shit and you'll go with it. Yeah. And there's that big cavernous hole, so you fill it up. Like fucking drinking. Or who wants to watch Die Hard 12, you know? Die Hard 1 was all right, but after that it all sucked. Why? Because fucking I have nothing to do. I don't know. Fucking just put shit in me. Just put a lot of shit in me. Just keep me occupied. This narrative is running pretty low. Just throw shit in there. So
That's a
well,
good one.
it just goes on and on. So
Any hands? Anybody got any hands? Anybody want to comment? Ask Paul a question. That was good, Paul. Come on, anybody? No?
I think Anu has her hand up.
Sorry, I couldn't find the
Oh
ring.
yeah, got it. Sorry.
Paul, I mean, and everybody here, I feel so much gratitude. Maybe today is the day to express it, and it's nothing that I've done, but you know, I look at my life and everything was always good in my life, and there was still unhappiness, constant restlessness, or you know, something's always missing, something is not right, and now, you know, somebody might look at my life now and say, wow, there's a lot of things going wrong, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. There's a grace that comes whenever I feel very agitated or the suffering is intense. It honestly, you know, it does feel everything is okay. And I don't know why. And it's nothing that I have been able to do for myself. So thank you, Paul, for your message. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you so much.
well, thank you, Anu. It's the whole point. It's nice to see people express relief. It's great. Yeah. And not to have it like a jewel that only appears through a lot of thought and effort, but just finding out that they're okay before they get busy trying to be okay. Yeah. So yes. Yeah. I'm never surprised because I have faith in the message. You know, I just, yeah, that's why we keep showing up, I guess, really. Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other hands?
Leah has her hand up.
Leah, where are you? There you are.
Oh, Leah's in
Hi.
America.
Yeah. Paul, hey, good to see you. I've been MIA for a few weeks because I moved back to the United States. And I'm in Florida right now, so that's why like no winter gear.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very chill. I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned before that recovery is progressive. And I also wanted to know if that's the same with, so I know like our baseline from like a non-dual perspective is we're not self, but I feel, and I get that as a truth, but like the action figure seems like she has a foot in both worlds and a lot of times gets fooled into believing the stuff of the action figure and seemingly has this like mental fugue over that I'm not self and I'm not a non-dual being. Is your experience and or is our or could our experience be that like the progression of not identifying as self also be progressive like recovery is?
For sure. In the action figure world, yes. Yeah. So as the experience of an action figure, that experience will change, and then there'll maybe a noticing of it, and then that noticing of it makes it more familiar, and now it becomes that unsuspected inner resource is now fully suspected. Yes. So it starts having an influence here. Yeah. But the experience of the action figure has its limitations, yeah? The sense of being one can't really have a stabilized sense of being zero, yeah? It just has a looser feeling of the sense of one, yeah? Sort of a lighter feeling, yeah. We were sharing something last night from the Course in Miracles, and it's sort of like, let's say the body represents this idea of being a self, yes? So then there's a loss of interest in the body, but it's not really my feeling, it's not a loss of interest in the body, it's a loss of interest in the body being self, yeah? So there's a loss of interest in the head that's constantly referring the body as being you, yeah? So that actually the body starts doing a whole lot better when it isn't seen as you. Yeah. So then the body starts getting effects. Now it may not have the understanding of how it's happening, but it definitely knows something's happening. So there's a clearer response, and the body starts traveling lighter because it's not burdened with the idea of being you. So it's not a loss of interest in the body in a way. It's a loss of interest in the body being self. Yeah, it's quite different, I feel. So because people believe, oh, if I lost interest in being the body, I'll just be, I'll have pieces of meat from 3 weeks ago in the beard and fucking won't shower and like that. I don't know. There's a loss of interest in the body as self. Yeah. In other words, the body, the Toyota is not seen as the driver. It's now seen as the Toyota. It has a lot less responsibilities as the Toyota than as the driver. So, yeah, I feel that happens. That can seemingly get clearer here because we're in time. So, what happens if everything's an instant picture? Time makes it a time delay picture. Yes, so it's a little trick of the whole event. There's some beautiful aspects of it. It's wonderful to watch an orchid get a bud and then over months suddenly finally open up and then just be an incredible, exquisite masterpiece and then go away again. Yeah, that's a nice influence of time. Yeah. So there's, again, someone as an art project, let's say living a life of destitution and active addiction, as a living mural, changing and seeing that change, where now they can enjoy peace of mind and they're available to others, and their terrible life has been put to great use, helping others. That's an incredible piece of art, really. Yeah. So, yes, I believe recovery progresses. Yeah.
Yeah, great question.
Now, will it progress? Will it progress is a different story, but it has the ability to progress for sure. But will it? It's not going to do it against people's wishes. Usually, some maybe, but basically, the mind before it will have more of a say about if it progresses or not. Yeah. But it has that ability, I feel. I just, over the years of being in recovery, you kept hearing the disease progresses. I felt like we might as well throw a bone on the recovery side. Recovery progresses too. You know what I mean? I thought it wasn't getting much attention. It's like disease progresses. Well, recovery does too. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as a reminder. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, Leah.
Good to
Cool.
see you,
Understood.
Leah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me
Ruby.
read this thing. Hey, wait a second. Let me read this thing from last night. It's pretty cool, if I can find it. Now, this lady Karen set this all off because she sent me a message and to read this stuff, and I did. So now, yeah, I think it's here.
What page, Paul?
I don't know. Well, this is in the Course in Miracles, so I'm trying to find it. I may not be able to. My inability. I'm not finding it, but if it comes to me, I'll get back to you. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So he talks about in the Course. It's on page 389. Hold on. Trying to find how he presents it, though. It's very nice. Oh, all right. Who needs do nothing has no need for time. To do nothing is to rest and make a place within you where the activity of the body ceases to demand attention. That's based on the recognition the body is in self. Yeah, the reason why the body's getting constant attention is it's claimed to be you. Really. Yeah. So to do nothing is to rest and make a place within you where the activity of the body ceases to demand attention. Into this place, the Holy Spirit, or the higher power, if you want to say it, comes and there abides. It will remain when you forget, and the body's activities return to occupy your conscious mind. So basically, the higher power is always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement to meet it. Yeah? So Yet there will always be this place of rest in which you can return. And you will be more aware of this quiet center of the storm than all its raging activity. See? So the interest moves from the drama of self and goes to this restful space. Yes? There's just a loss of interest in that, and then there's a gaining interest in this restful space. Let's call it the infinite or whatever. Yeah? This quiet center in which you do nothing will remain. Hey, you're placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. Yeah? What's that but doing nothing? This quiet center in which you do nothing will remain with you, giving you rest in the midst of every busy doing on which you are sent. For from this center, you will be directed how to use the body sinlessly. That's how they use it in this word, in the Course. It is this center from which the body is absent that will keep it so in your awareness of it. Yes? So when you see that you're not self, then every time you see the body or there's thoughts about the body, it won't trigger the sense that you're that. Yes? That there'll be a peaceful center that will be the nay to all of that yaying. Yes? You won't have to be doing any chanting. You'll just know. Yes? There'll be a knowing there. So I feel like this is sort of the progress of recovery. Yeah? You get familiar with the understanding you're not that. Even while you may not be having that experience, the understanding is still there. Yeah? And that quiet center is not of the storm. It's always available no matter how big or small the storm is. And you become more familiar with it. Yeah? And then an assurance bubbles up in you where used to be tons of anxiety because you're being directed not from the head, but from that center. Yeah? And you're not seeing the body as self. Yeah. So that's how it feels to me when I'm reading it. Yeah. I hopefully can get it across. But yeah. It's just another way of saying it. But what is that quiet center or peaceful center? It's the unsuspected inner resource in the big book. Yes. It's the innermost. However we want to inspire it, it implies there is a place where you think you are. Yeah? Yeah. There is a place where you think you are. You are not of that. That you think you are is not of that place. Yeah? That place is always available at all times, right where you are, because it's of us. Yeah? The mental activity is not of us in a way. Yeah? It doesn't have a seamless allness or everywhereness or at all timeness. It doesn't. It has a lot of blips and a lot of openings where there's nothing there. Yeah? But this center is always here. Yeah? So instead of relying on self, you're now relying on the infinite, which would be, in this case, the center. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that progresses as an example of an action figure. Therefore, the action figure is traveling lighter through whatever life has in store for it, not because it's learned all these skillful means, but it's resting in that center more. Yeah. Or something is resting in that center more that's affecting the body, the action figure. Yeah. Yeah. But this is really clear. The loss of interest in the body, I feel, is the loss of interest in the body as self. Yeah. There's not a loss of interest in the body. There's a loss of interest in the body as self. So every time I'm thinking about me and the head pictures me as a body, there's not a buying of that. Yeah. 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 So. And then I find the body does a whole lot better not pictured as the representative of self, really. I just think, I mean, it sucks too bad. I mean, it can't arise to the perfection that self would entail it to have to be as self. Yeah. And no matter how much you strain the Toyota to be a Rolls Royce, it ain't a Rolls Royce. You can put the Rolls Royce emblem on it, but it looks funny as you drive it down the street or the grill. It's a Toyota. Doesn't mean nothing. That's great. Toyotas are great. They're reliable. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks. Thanks, Leah.
Ruby,
Ruby.
he's coming.
Hi, I had to
There's-
unmute. I had to unmute. Well, you were giving a talk the other day on the cart before the horse, and I like that when you talk about that. And then next you were talking about the word "my" when you put the word "my" in front of things, and that's where I saw how the cart gets ahead of the horse because you launch all this shit into the cart with the word "my," and there's no way you can handle all of that, nor can I move that cart on my own. And I saw that the weight of that word and how that cart, the minute you say that word, that's the cart's right there. It's just the cart, and there you are, and it's just full of shit you can't do anything about. And that used to just perplex me because I could not figure out how that kept going on, that vicious catch-22 cycle. And then I realized, the horse would be, that would be the higher power in my world, because it would be the energy that would show up to move. Because I was so buried under the why, my, and the why, my, actually. And my mind works mostly in pictures more than words anyway. But as humans, we converse, or we'd really go mad, I guess. So I wanted to thank you for your way with words, because it was just so clear to me what exactly happens under that word "my." And it's really helped with the gals that we all get together and we speak of this together, and this has really helped out a lot of people here, and I'm really grateful for it. So I just wanted to let you know what's rambling around in here. I'm probably driving a rambler.
Great. That's great, Ruby. Yes, that's a nice imagery. But the "my" is definitely it's the point of distribution of a lot of meaning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a problem is much different than my problem. Yeah. So you don't change any of the word, but you change the meaning completely by the "my." That's
Yes.
an activity. Yeah. You're not going to pick it up on the surveillance camera, but it's an activity going on all day. Yeah, it's not a thing running into another thing like a car crash. It's on a subtler level, but there's a huge activity going on with this false ownership of stuff, and then the stuff once owns totally changes. Yeah, I used to use the example of going out with a very nice girl, and then sometime one point in my head she turns into my girlfriend, and then You know, I'm up on stalking charges because I think I should know what my girlfriend's doing at 3 in the morning. So I'm parked outside of my girlfriend's house. So it's this my has a lot of influence in our lives, and there's very little clarity around it. You know, it's just a 2-letter word, MY. I mean, it doesn't look like it would carry much of a punch, but what it's implying is huge. Yeah. It implies an ownership prior to what's happening. So there's a problem, yes, but now my problem, no. Yeah. Yes, the change is unbelievable. Money, my money. I want everyone here to have a lot of money, but I don't want any of you to have my money. It just changes the whole meaning of it. Yeah. This is a weight. Aren't you interested in, I mean, if you're getting banged around, you know, like if you're sitting in the back of a truck and you're getting banged around by shit, you want to see where, you know, how's the weight distributed? I'm not going to make it through this trip if I don't fucking tie
Right.
that, you know, tether because I'm being whacked all day. And, but it's not a dresser. It's not like a desk that's hitting us. It's an activity that we're out to lunch around. Yeah, we're just flinging meaning to shit all day. Because like in the Course in Miracles, this lesson 2 is you and I give everything all the meaning it has. Well, a lot of meaning is given through the word my. It represents a lot of transfer of meaning. And I find when you get relief from the my, then the problem looks different. The money looks different. The girlfriend looks different. Everything looks different. And by seeing that, you realize that the my is a huge difference maker. It is. It's changing shit a lot. And it's not obviously the word. It represents an activity that we're not aware of mostly. We don't believe we're giving everything all the meaning it has. Most of the time we don't. No? Yeah. Most people don't. Yet they may be in that experience or that event all day, but there's no awareness of it, really. Yeah. And then you wonder why, like, something that you thought was the worst thing that ever happened, and you thought about it like that for 8 or 9 years, if your head changes, like through a program or a recovery, and you see it as the best thing that ever happened, aren't you interested in how did that occur? How could the worst thing ever happen suddenly transmute itself into the best thing? Where's my role in things? Your role is huge. You saw the same event as the worst thing, and now you're in a different place, and now you see it as the best thing. That's incredible. Could you imagine if someone actually saw that happening? They just stop maybe in the street and just go, what an incredible fucking thing I've just witnessed. But we're just walking all day. you know, skipping miles on this, miles on that, just fucking, getting huge amounts of weight. It's incredible. And then we want to bitch about something else. We want to concentrate on something else so far away from the exact nature of what's happening. It's completely. It's like it's like wild goose chases all day to distract ourselves from the real thing that's going on. Yeah. We're incredibly powerful, like it or not. Yeah. Not as Paul with his muscular biceps, but as mind and mind. Yeah. And Paul with his muscular biceps on one level. So it's mind. So, I mean, hopefully being at the effect of it in maybe some serious fucking ways, you've come to a humble respect for it. And hey, that power best be put in other hands. Yeah, the way it's been used with the mental condition, I can't take it, first of all. I've had enough. Yeah. I can't seem to move it. So I got to surrender in a sense and let something else move it and put it into more sure hands. You know, the old employer has to be seen through to get the new employer really getting the whole job. Yeah, it needs all the papers and all the fucking files and the inventories, so that, and the inventories need to be on the old employer, really. Not on the business, but on the old employer. That's what's escaping from most of our inventories. We're not seeing the old employer. We're calling its manifestations ours. I mean, that's blindness right there. If you're walking around still calling resentments yours all day, yeah, something's been missed. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, it's funny. Thank you, Ruby.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I really was, compelled. Something had me dwell on that word "my" quite a lot over the years, because there is such a huge amount of weight being thrown around, and that represents it, to like what's there before, which is we're pictured as Paul, but it isn't. It's mind. Yeah. Then there's a problem there, and then mind gives tons of meaning to the problem through the my. And then suddenly my problem is huge. Like in AA, when you get relief, it says you'll lose interest in your little plans and designs. When you're obsessed in head, everything is a big plan and a big design. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of meaning given it. This is humility. Humility breaks that distribution center. It cuts the fucking supply line. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the old employer just keeps buying product and putting it on the shelf.
There's nothing in it. You just buy the same old box. You have the perfect breakfast nook, but if you open up all the assortments of cereals, there's nothing in the box. It just looks like you have a good breakfast nook. You're not getting any nutrition whatsoever. I've got a box of Kellogg Rice Krispies, but with no Rice Krispies. I don't have that. I just have boxes of shit that represent things. Yeah. So, yes, the my is a pretty interesting, to really make it specific in the step inventory. You would hope that you would go with my fears, my harms, does other, and you would leave with resentments, fears.
You're muted. I mean, you froze, Paul. You froze, buddy. I'm going to stop your video for a second. Still froze.
Fears, yeah.
We lost you there. You're muted. You're froze, Paul. We can't hear you. Oh, there he goes. We'll let him log back in. Hold on a second. It's funny, Ruby. Sometimes I'll say to somebody when that narrative starts up, I'll say, just say thanks for sharing. Next. Just thanks for sharing. Next. Like, don't fight it. Just let it exhaust itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
You're back.
I checked out for a while.
There you go. Little potty break there.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll end now. Anyway.
Yeah, it's 22. Yeah. Thanks for showing up today,
Yeah.
Paul. Thanks for everybody showing up, you guys. Thanks for contributing. It's what makes the meeting, you know.
Well, let me say goodbye to everyone. All right. So we got Jacob up there. Nice to see you, Jacob. Kurt. Yeah. We got Cecilia. Thank you, honey, for showing up. Nina, not Mina, nor Tina, but Mina. Not Nina, Nina. We got Paul from the UK, Ruby Rose from Wichita. Thank you, Ruby. Yes.
You're welcome, hon.
Yes. From the cart's point of view, the cart's unmovable, but not from the horse's point of view. Thank God. Yeah. Roman, always nice to see you, Roman. Thank you for everything. Have a nice day in Germany there. Yes. Richie from the UK. Nice to see you, my friend. We've got Anu. Thank you for your share, Anu. Yes. Yeah. Oliver. Nice to see Oliver. Thank you for the
Thank you.
privilege of sharing yesterday.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I really didn't expect that many people to share. That doesn't happen that often, actually. And so yeah, it's
Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
We gave him plenty enough time because we had a very short share.
Right. Yeah.
All right, we got PK. Nice to see him from Long Island. Yes. We got Gregory from Moab. Yes, nice to see you, Gregory. Everything's going well with the nonprofit thing. Yes.
Yeah, great. We're all having Thanksgiving today over at the helipad.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
Say hello to everyone for me, yeah?
We'll do, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah. We got Alex in the Hudson Valley. There she is. Yes. Leah is roaming around Florida now. Wow. What's going to happen with all that winter gear?
Who cares?
That was good.
Terry, nice. Terry could use some of it. She's in Maine. Maybe we could have a little bit of a free box of the Zen Big Slap Zoom. Yeah, Terry could probably use a nice freaking down. Oh, here we are. Verina's back from. Don't make the mistake of thinking she's from Amsterdam. She's from Germany. Yes. I learned my lesson. We got Senna for Sonoma. Who else is here? I think that's it. Well, I had a wonderful morning. Thank you. And
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
yeah, just stay with this. It gets in there and starts changing things. You don't need to be the witness of it. Just let it. You'll be the beneficiary of it. Yeah, it'll give you newfound superpowers you didn't know you had. Traveling lighter. Yeah. It's
And
true.
we'll see you on the 10th.
You will, eh? Yes, you will. I'll be here hopefully.
Yeah.
And some of us we'll be here Saturday and every other day that we are. So yeah, if you're interested, we're gonna have a live gathering of people up here in where I live. I think the 10th to the 12th. You'll have to stay somewhere else, but we'll be coming to the house here and having meetings and food and stuff and fellowship and shit like that. So yeah, you're all welcome. And we'll be Zooming, so you won't miss anything really. Just come on the Zoom if you like. All right, I'll see
Very
you
good.
guys. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Bye.
Well.